Hello, my name is Andrew Geary, and welcome to Seismic Sound Off, in-depth conversations in applied geophysics. In this episode, I speak with Jim White, Executive Director of SEG, to discuss Image 21, his first few months on the job, and the future of applied geophysics. Image 21 is the integrated annual conference and exhibition of the SEG and the American Association of Petroleum Geologists, and in conjunction with the Society for Sedimentary Geology. Jim and I discussed the relocation of SEG's headquarters to Houston, the possible merger of AAPG and SPE, and what to expect in Denver, Colorado for Image 21. During the interview, I state the preview for Image has not yet been published. The preview is now live, and you can learn more about the event at imageevent.org. This episode is brought to you by CGG. When you've been a part of the geoscience community for over 90 years, you tend to learn a few things, including the importance of sharing ideas and experiences. CGG is proud to support the SEG and the industry as it applies geoscience and data science expertise to natural resource, energy transition, infrastructure, and environmental challenges. As the world's energy needs continue to evolve and grow, and we face new challenges, CGG is here to help you see things differently. Visit imageevent.org to learn all about Image 21 and to register today. Now for our conversation. So I want to get started. For many of SEG's members and listeners of this podcast, it will be the first time hearing from you, Jim, the new Executive Director of SEG. So could you start just sharing a little bit about yourself and what brought you to SEG?
Well, I'm a geoscientist by schooling, and I have been in the geophysical business for 40 plus years. I started as a freshman in university working summers on seismic field crews. So I've got a storied background as it pertains to the application of applied geophysics. And the opportunity came along to when the opening for the SEG's executive director position came about. I lobbied hard for the role. One, because I felt like my experience level was such that it allowed me to address all the requirements that the position requested. More importantly, I wanted to get back to a community that's given me so much over the years. And it's a perfect transition for me in the later stages of my career to give back to the community and more importantly, have an impact to the applied geophysics as a whole.
Well, SEG is lucky that you lobbied so hard to see this opportunity. And you've also come to SEG as major events are happening, not just in the world, but also on an organizational level. And SEG will now be calling Houston its headquarters. What does this mean for SEG and the membership?
Houston's always been the hub, if you will, for the energy industry, globally. We're celebrating our 100-year anniversary for the application of seismic technology this year. And it was created in Oklahoma. And Tulsa was a big part of the oil and gas industry for many, many years. And obviously things happen, things change. We've seen a transition now to Houston. A lot of our stakeholders are here. A lot of our the oil and gas companies are here, as well as the service companies. And it seemed like a natural progression for us to look to Houston as the main location for our headquarters. So the transition has gone very smoothly. Keep in mind, though, that we have a strong presence within the Tulsa office. And the idea is that we're not transitioning everybody from Tulsa to Houston, but there is going to be a situation where we may have opportunities for individuals to work out of Houston instead of Tulsa as we look to particular positions within the organization. And so I'm excited for the fact that Houston is going to be a big part of the process going forward for the SEG. I think it's going to enable us to do a lot of better things within the organization, within the society. I think it's going to allow us to be more responsive to our members and our stakeholders, and we can be more proactive in things that are ongoing within the oil and gas sector as well. You're seeing a lot of transition in the energy business right now to other things beyond the core oil and gas sector, specifically other energy-related fields. the greener energies, whether it's geothermal, wind, solar, groundwater, things that are very important to us as a society, specific to the applied geophysics. I think we're going to be better suited to attack those and to challenge those based in Houston with our corporate structure.
Yeah, speaking of that 100-year anniversary, that was featured in June's The Leading Edge, as well as SEAM, which was talking about the next possible project around carbon sequestration just to get at those new things. And another new change that's upcoming is the annual meeting partnership with AAPG. So what exactly does this partnership entail, and how is it going to impact SEG's upcoming annual meeting in Denver in 2021?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've initiated on most recently, and I give credit to the staff and to the directors and to our current president as well, but we've created a blueprint for how we're going to move forward within the SEG, and we call it our strategic pillars. There's 6 strategic pillars that are the foundation of this initiative that we're taking forth within the SEG, and one of those pillars is collaboration. And collaboration beyond the scope of membership and stakeholders, but looking at other organizations, other societies that we can leverage the strengths of each one of those organizations to do a better job of responding to the needs and wishes and wants of our stakeholders and our members. So we've done a lot of collaboration with the AAPG over the years, and as a result, we've tried to strengthen that position within that organization, and more specifically, as a person that comes from the other side of the fence, if you will, from the SEG, as a stakeholder and as a member of the SEG for many, many years, it's been a wish and a want of mine to see more collaboration within the AAPG and SEG, and more specifically, combining the annual meetings as one instead of having 2 separate meetings, because I think it was something that was desired by many within our community and with many within the stakeholder community. And it's going to allow us to showcase the applied geosciences as a whole, right? Obviously, a lot of the challenges that we have are not just geophysical problems. They're not just geological problems. They're not just engineering problems. And so we're using this collaboration with these organizations, again, to leverage those strengths. And I'll point out, one of the things that you mentioned earlier in the discussion about carbon solutions, that's another area of focus of within our organization, but not just in our organization, but others like SPE and AAPG. And again, it's a challenge across the gamut of engineering, geology, and geophysics. And to be able to tackle it properly, we're leveraging the strengths of each organization to address those. So there's a lot of collaboration from that perspective. The exciting thing for the annual meeting now, going forth for the image for 2021, is that we're starting with a fresh slate of trying to ensure that we are, again, addressing the needs, but we're also creating a venue that's going to set the stage for venues to come in the near future as well.
Yeah, you said it right there. Along with this new partnership, there is a new name for the event called Image. For past attendees of SEG, that I include yourself in this, will Image feel familiar to those returnees to this meeting?
Great question. One of the challenges that we had when we first started and initiated the discussions to collaborate and join forces to create the Image within AAPG and SEG was not losing the cultural flavor of each organization or each society. That was very important for us as we worked through the discussions about how the venue was going to unfold. And we needed to keep our identity within each organization present in the venue, but at the same time, we didn't want to limit it to understanding that it had to have a certain flair or flavor based on each organization. Ideally, you want to capture the culture. You don't want to lose that, but you don't want to restrict or build fence around the venue as a whole to create new avenues that we can be more productive and more aware for our stakeholder community going forward.
Last year, SEG was a virtual event. For this year, is Image going to be strictly an in-person event, or will it have some virtual components as well?
Actually, it's going to be what we call a hybrid event for 2021. Obviously, COVID had such a big impact on us in 2020 that we went to a completely virtual event at that time. as we looked to 2021, we were unsure of where we were going to be going with the whether it was going to be a hybrid or a full in-person event. But one of the things we found out that these hybrid events do allow us to do is we can reach a much broader audience across the globe. With the advent of technology and AV, we've been able to tape technical sessions, panel sessions, and then able to stream them to various parts of the world at such a time that it makes sense for them to be able to view it. That said, there's a lot of cost involved in that. So, there's a give and take when it comes to hybrid events as to the challenges of from a financial perspective of what we can and cannot do. That said, we're learning as we go. Other societies, other organizations, other industries are having similar challenges. And obviously, we want to learn from our mistakes as we go forward and adjust as we can to make it a more sensible venue for our target audience as a whole.
The preview for Image hasn't yet come out in the leading edge. Could you maybe give a little sneak preview of some features or events taking place at Image that you would like to spotlight?
We tend to do things the same way year after year, and it's not a bad thing. I think people are used to seeing things in a certain manner within our annual meeting venue. That said, because we're now a combined organization between the AAPG and the SEG, we're going to see things that benefit both the geology and the geophysics, or as I've pointed out in the past, it's the applied geosciences as a whole. We want this to be the premier event for applied geosciences globally. And the exciting thing is that we have a new slate. We've kind of wiped it clean, and we're looking at ways that we can create a venue that's going to excite people, that they want to be a part of it, and that they will travel from across the globe to attend the annual meeting. Our technical sessions are separate between the AAPG and SEG, again, because this was the first year and we're still trying to work out a lot of the kinks as it pertains to the logistics with pulling off a combined venue. But we've had separate committees from each organization involved in the process, and I'm so excited from the fact that they've been working together as each organization, but it hasn't been a we versus they, it's been an us challenge as we move forward on this. And so the exciting thing is that the flavor will hopefully reflect in what we normally would do for the SEG as well as what they normally would do within the AAPG. But we think that there's going to be a little different flavor in the fact that we're doing things together. And as we go into 2022 is where we're going to have a real impact on making a statement, if you will, for the venue and the applied geosciences as well.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be just an overall exciting energy in that place with a combination there. And as this is going to be your first annual meeting leading SEG, it's going to, I'm sure, feel different, as you mentioned earlier, being kind of on the other side now. What are you most excited about?
The easy answer to that is the fact that we're going to actually have an in-person event that we didn't have last year. So reconnecting with individuals and stakeholders is going to be a lot of fun. I think there's a sense within our community that there's some cabin fever, and I think people are going to want to get out and visit. And so I think that's going to drive a lot of the participation with this year's event. I just think that reconnecting with individuals as a whole, and me personally, I'm excited to be able to represent the other side of the fence, as you alluded to. And clearly, a 40-year career, you create a lot of relationships and a lot of contacts over that period of time. And I'm excited to kind of showcase what the SEG is all about to those that I've been associated with for so many years.
Another change that could impact the geosciences is the possible merger of SPE and AAPG. What should SEG members and colleagues know about this possible merger and how it might impact the SEG?
So we've seen a lot of communication coming out of AAPG and SPE on their intent to a merger going forward. Obviously, that is going to impact the SEG, if anything, because of the challenges internally of what's in it for us or what's going to happen to us and specifically to our staff and our stakeholders. We've been trying our best to be as transparent as possible with the communications. Most recently, our president, Maurice Nassim, in our Leading Edge, which is our publication, on his president's page, he went into great detail how the process has been unfolding for SPE and AAPG and how supportive we have been from the SEG, in so much that we're at this time cheering from the sidelines. We think it's a positive thing for them and their organizations. And as a result, there's always the question of what's going to happen within the SEG as a whole. And we'll continue to evaluate that as we go forward. Most important thing is we want to be supportive for the AAPG and the SPE in this endeavor that they're undertaking. But at the same time, we want to be as transparent as we possibly can with our staff and our stakeholders to let them know what we're doing in the process as it's ongoing. I come from the business side of the equation, as we mentioned earlier. Lots of times there's been acquisitions, mergers, consolidations, and generally it always makes sense to do certain things when you're presented with that opportunity. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Again, you have to weigh the pros and cons as you look through this. But if in fact it makes more sense for us to be involved in such a transaction because it strengthens our position for our membership and our stakeholders, then we're going to take that challenge and we're going to process it and hopefully move in the right direction that's going to be beneficial for all. We have a governance process that we're going to go through, obviously. And so, again, we're very supportive of what's happening with SPE and AAPG, and we wish them the best with their challenges that they're going forth with right now. And as I said, we're cheering from the sidelines.
Yeah, I'll make sure to link that article from Maurice Nessum in the Leading Edge so people can read that as well. And lastly here, as people are making plans to attend Image and getting excited about attending, what would you like to say to attendees unsure if they should join in Denver in September?
Well, there's so many challenges going on right now in the world as it pertains to COVID and the implications of COVID on each of us as individuals. That includes vaccinations, no vaccinations. You hope that you can get valued information, good information from trusted sources as to how we should go about and act on requirements or certain requirements as it pertains to attendance to the Denver venue. Right now, there is no restriction on attendees. We are constantly in communication with the city of Denver as to where they are in that process as well. We are doing our best to, again, get as much proper information as we can as to how this is going to unfold. But again, I point to the fact that this is our first opportunity to reconnect in person. And I think that we're going to have a tremendous venue that we are putting on in Denver. And I think it's going to be an exciting time for us to get everybody together under one roof and look at all the things that the SEG and the AAPG has to offer, certainly for Image 21.
Well, it's wonderful to be able to highlight you to the listeners and share some of the exciting things coming up with Image as well as just in general with the SEG. So thank you, Jim, for your time and for speaking with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you for listening to SEG's flagship podcast, Seismic Sound Off. SEG produces these episodes to benefit its members, the geophysics community, and inform the public on the value of the science. To show your support for the show, please share this episode with a friend, colleague, or manager that would enjoy hearing this show. Your recommendation is the single best action you can take on behalf of SEG's podcast. To receive the latest episodes first, follow Seismic Sound Off on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. The SEG podcast team is Ted Bakamjian, Kathy Gamble, and Allie McGinnis. Thank you for listening. This is Seismic Sound Off, signaling off.